Pretty much anything was going to be a disappointment after recently's Watchmen. This extraordinary being, which does so much work to loop threads from the last 5 episodes of Watchmen episode 7, an almost religious awe, still feels like a visible stumble for the season, revealing a mess of threads coming together in a method that feels less most likely than ever to cohere, with some strong performing and unusual twists that appear to pivot away practically totally from our brand new understanding of Will's history. Angela's youth in Vietnam is the very first substantial flashback in the program that merely highlights our understanding of a character instead of contributing to it. We discover that Angela's moms and dads are eliminated in a battle on the vacation celebrating America's success in Vietnam. She invests much of her youth in a Vietnamese orphanage, painting dolls of Dr. Manhattan. She then gets in touch with some Vietnamese policemen, choosing to sign up with the force one day in the spirit of her hero, the black hero's sister Knight, the titular nun with the motherfucking gun. Her grandma June shows up, prepares to take Angela house to Tulsa, then immediately drops dead of a heart attack. These scenes are enjoyable enough, especially in Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's rating. However, they do excessive to expand why, precisely, Angela is the method she is. Regina King is more than skilled adequate to interact those layers and offers us some tips about what got her there. The specific connection of the dots, things like the nun with the motherfucking gun motion picture, feels unneeded and of a piece with a few of the lazier tropes in superhero films that Watchmen has actually discussed in all its types. In specific, June's death is the very first plot beat in the series that has actually fallen entirely flat. Mark Hill, HBO. On some level, this extraordinary being made these scenes unnecessary. The injuries of Angela's forefathers ended up being incredibly clear throughout that episode and are consistently intercut into her experiences in this episode. The audience needs to be relied on enough to piece together how those options still deal with her in today. What does this info suggest for Angela? How does it connect into Will and Lady Trieu's more comprehensive strategy? We just get feints of responses to both of those concerns in this episode, and it feels rather aggravating. It's possible I'm simply frustrated since Regina King does not get a load to do this episode, mainly roaming around Lady Trieu's crazy clock tower to determine what's going on. Hong's show is still outstanding, particularly when she gets to be a bit snittier about the ultimate success of her strategies conserving the world from the 7th Cavalry Aka's Cyclops. We still do not understand what the clock tower is going to do. However, we do understand that Lady Trieu's child Bian is really a clone of her mom, who gets memories in the type of a nostalgia drip. Lady Trieu states her daddy will quickly exist to witness the conclusion of her strategies, though he is not there at the minute. This seems like an outright signpost that the identity of Lady Trieu's daddy will be necessary later on, and, to me, it appears like there are just two guesses. Dr. Manhattan or Ozymandias. Show's finest acting minute, nevertheless, comes when she keeps in mind that she has actually informed Angela that Dr. Manhattan is pretending to be a human, yet Angela has actually not asked who he is. She understands. Everything in this episode is both too cool and unsolved. When Laurie faces Jane Crawford, she defines the lesson of this extraordinary being in terms that make the abundant, textured episode of TV seem like a didactic after-school special. White guys in masks are heroes. Black guys in masks are frightening. Laurie gets dropped through a trapdoor into the basement of the Crawford home, which ends up being another Cyclops main office. I can think of believing Laurie would be one action ahead of Jane here, however I simulate that she has yet once again undervalued somebody. She believes Cyclops is utilizing the authorities as an incorrect flag to get a white supremacist chosen president, simply your sort of fundamental, ordinary wicked strategy. The genuine Cyclops plan is even larger. They're going to turn Joe Keane into another Dr. Manhattan. As a strategy, this feels adequately big to be a master plot, however it likewise feels a bit ordinary. The political and racial machinations of Cyclops feel much more engaging, and deeply inspired than it sounds listening to James Wick simply state that it's tough to be a white guy in America. Mark Hill, HBO. Still, this is an episode of Watchmen, so there's a great deal of enjoyable, batshit things occurring. The look of the elephant and animal that always remembers is pure leftovers, recalling to the program's apparently unusual insertions with lions and tigers. The cerebral-like burrow in which Lady Trieu has the ability to see what everybody states in their prayers/phone calls to Dr. Manhattan is possibly rather enormous. And, naturally, there's the discovery at the end of the episode, Angela's other half Calvin is Dr. Manhattan. I'd seen a couple of individuals recommending this may be the case throughout the season. His calm attitude, his viewpoint on death, his constant costuming in the color blue, and, above all, Laurie's regular remarks about his look. However, this is still a quite wild thing to discover. Dropping this info so late in the video game is definitely adventurous. However, it likewise seems like Angela's relationship with her other half is going to mostly supplant her relationship with her grandpa as the season and, possibly, series concludes. One of the fantastic aspects of this series is the method it has actually made Dr. Manhattan feel practically incidental to the more comprehensive world of Watchmen. Everybody treats him like a force of nature, a misconception that hangs over the costumed history of the world. Everybody has various ideas and sensations about him, and we discover more about them by enjoying their responses. In fact, concentrating on Dr. Manhattan is, in some methods, the least fascinating part. In next week's episode, that's precisely what Damon Lindelof looks to do.